Hemorrhoids, question mark, relieves pain and itching immediately, preparation H. It's the biggest, most profitable preparation or hemorrhoids medicine in the world, because they've managed to summarize everything. Here's another example of great promotion. It's the Herbalife promotion. Herbalife started off by offering a weight loss product. You take this product and you lose weight. It turned out to be, the product was a powdery form of liquid that actually filled in the tissues in your stomach, and so that everything you ate went straight through you, like a racehorse. And it was illegal because people were losing so much weight because no matter what they ate, it would just go straight through them. Anyway, so they had to change it. But they developed a little sign. And I spoke to one of their executives recently, and I said, they're $1 billion company. He said, 4 billion. They're a $4 billion company. And they have a little sign that people wear, their distributors wear. It's an MLM company, and it's a white button, and it has a little red blinker in the middle. The light that goes blink, 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 so it catches your eye. And it says, lose weight now, ask me how. And so when a person signs up and becomes a distributor, they say, where do I get customers? That's easy. Go to the supermarket and just walk around. And when you see a heavy person pushing a shopping basket, just walk past slowly. Lose weight now, ask me how. And since everybody wants to lose weight, the person will go, what's that? I want that. How do you do that? And they ask questions, and they start a conversation. And they go back and forth and say, you know, I had a weight problem myself, and then I found this wonderful formula. I took the formula, lost 25 kilos or whatever it happens to be. Can I have it? Can I have it? I want it, I want it, I want it. And they built $4 billion business worldwide on weight loss product. And it's lose weight now, ask me how. I think it's one of the most perfect advertisements in terms of marketing theory in the history of the world. And it's worth $4 billion. They started off basically working out of a garage. Now they sell $4 billion worth. So the next one is, the goal is to get customers to want to buy what you are selling. You get them to want to buy. Get them to, in other words, you don't try to convince them to buy. They already want it. All they need is for you to explain to them what it is. Pay less taxes. What is it? I want it. I already want it. I just want to be sure that it will work. So the place. Where do you offer your products and services? Where do you offer your products and services? Well, sometimes by offering your products and services in a different place, you can dramatically increase the sales. I'll give you an example. John Paul Getty, who was at one time, Aristotle Onassis, who was at one time one of the richest men in the world, wrote a book called How to Be Rich. And one of the things he said is, if you want to be rich, you've got to go where rich people are. He said, so find the biggest city in your country and find the most important street on that city, and then get an address on that city. Even if you rent a janitor's closet, is get an address and put that on your letterhead, because people will look at that and see that you're on Madison Avenue in New York, and you have that address on there. They'll immediately think that you are a much more powerful and presentable person. So I've told people over the years, including just a few weeks ago in Poland, is if you want to be a big player in Poland, there's only one place to be. That's Warsaw. Warsaw is the New York of Poland. London is the New York of England. Paris, Rome, Berlin. You've got to go. Actually, you've got to go to the city that is considered the most important city in the country, and your sales will go up, because people from big cities don't buy from people in little cities. And I've seen so many people, they live in a little city 50 miles out, and they want to start their business there. You want to whack them around the head and say, then if you're really serious, move to the big city. Because big city people don't buy stuff from people who live in small towns. But people in small towns buy stuff from people from the big city. Are you with me so far? Now, this is not 100% the case, and there are exceptions to this. Okay, but so say, where do you offer your products and services? Where else could you sell your product or service? Maybe what you do is you set up an office. Many companies who are based in small towns will set up what they call their headquarters in a big town, which is basically they share an office and they have an address. And all the correspondence and telephone calls go to the town. So you can do that. You can cheat. Number 3, how could you change or improve the location of your sales activities? Quick story. Many years ago, about 25 years ago, still a good story, a young woman, Mormon family, her name was Debbie. She got married, and she quickly had 5 children. The Mormons breed like rabbits. They quickly had 5 children, and she developed a reputation for making fantastic cookies for the kids. It turns out her mother had taught her how to make beautiful cookies. And the reason I heard about Debbie Fields, the reason I know this, is I was in Maui, and Maui is a series of vacation islands, and Maui is one of the smaller islands, and the big island is called Oahu. And Oahu has the city of Honolulu, capital of the Hawaiian Islands, million population. Anyway, I was talking to some people by the pool in Maui, in my resort, and I said, how's everything going? He said, great. He said, we're going to the mainland today. You're going to the mainland. That's what they call it, the mainland. We're flying over in a jet. It's an hour flight. I said, that's great. Well, why are you going over there? Well, to get some Debbie Fields cookies. Cookies, I said. Yes, they're the only place in the island that sell these cookies. And I said, cookies? There's 2 of you. You're going to take a flight and go over to the island and rent a taxi and drive downtown and go to this cookie store to load up on cookies and go back to the airport and fly back. Does this sound strange to you, by the way? It sounded strange to me. Well, they said, yeah, we're taking orders from all of our friends. And they said, would you like some? And I said, well, I don't know. See, these are the best cookies in the world. I said, okay. And they don't sell them by the ones, they sell them by the box full. So they flew off, they came back, boxes full, and they handed them out to everybody, a variety of cookies. Well, then I traced the history back. What happened was Debbie, when children grew up, they're all in school now, they're all over the age of 5, and her husband and her friends keep saying, Debbie, you should open a store, you should open a store. So finally she rented a store. It was a bankrupt bakery, and it had an oven. So she rented this little store, but if you can imagine the street going like this, and there's a little alleyway with stores in it, and hers was at the other end of the alleyway. So she opened up this store, and she baked all these beautiful cookies, and she put them in the window, but because it was back from the main traffic, nobody saw it. So people just kept going past. So she's not a passive person. So she took the cookies and she chopped them up into pieces, and she walked down the little alleyway to the main street, and she started handing out samples. And people come by and they say, thank you very much. Gee, that's good. Where do you get these cookies? Anyway, we go to my store up the alley. So pretty soon she got somebody else to stand there, and she just baked and sold cookies. But she realized she'd made a mistake in locating up this alley. So she made a decision that from then on, she would only locate on main streets where there was large foot traffic. All right? So she opened up her second store and her third store, but sometimes the foot traffic was going past so fast, they didn't even look in the store, just like you do when you're on a hurry. So she said, what can I do? So instead of pumping the baking smell of cookies in the back, she ran piping, so the cookie smell was piped onto the sidewalk. So people would be walking by, down, they go, geez, where is that? I mean, they look around and they see the cookie store, and they would come in. Jump ahead, 8 years, she got 300 stores, she sold the business for $500 million. The turning point, she said, was when she realized you've got to be on a place that has a lot of traffic, and you have to project the smell so that people going by can smell it. But you couldn't do that if your store was up and around the corner in an alley. Sometimes just changing your location will transform your whole business. It's worth $500 million to her. So how could you change? So write this down. Where else could you offer your product or service? Nationally, internationally, small towns, big towns, through distributors, through your own office, through retailers. Where else could you make your product available? Many years ago, when Michael Dell was building Dell Computer, all their sales were direct, as we talked about before. You phoned in or emailed in, you ordered the computer was sent to you, and they backed it up with tremendous service. But the competition got fiercer and fiercer, so now what's their next miracle? They brought in 24-hour day service. Can you guess what their competitors were doing within a couple of years? Can you guess what their competitors were doing within a couple of years? Come on. they were offering 24-hour-a-day service. In other words, your competitors will always match you and one-up you. So they said, where else could we sell these? And then they realized that the biggest retailers in the entire country were Walmart, and Walmart didn't carry computers. So they went to Walmart and they made a special deal with them to offer a type of computer that was almost exactly to what they were selling to businesses, but the price was lower. And so Walmart put the computers in. That time they had about 2,000 stores. Dell's computer sales went up 500% again, and they became the biggest computer vendors in the world. Because instead of selling them the way they had before, they found a new outlet. Many people have found that by finding a new outlet for their products or services, their sales go off the clock. They become world leaders. So, next one was packaging. And packaging, we say, how does your product or service look to your customers? How does it appear? Remember, what visual impression do you make? The visual impression is very emotional. You know, men and women look at other men and women and fall in love and get committed and stay with that person for the rest of their lives. I mean, and this happens. By the way, do you know how long it takes for two people to meet, marry, and stay together for the rest of their life? Within 4 seconds. Everybody here who is married can think back. That's what people say, how did you meet, or when did you meet? And a person will say, well, I was at a party, or I was at a meeting, or I was walking down this aisleway, or I walked into this office, and there's something, Khalil Gibran says that, there must be a meeting of the hearts at the first moment of meeting, or it will never take place. And so now you may not marry the person, but in my case, when I saw my wife, I saw her, she saw me, it was one split second, 100 yards apart, we've been together for 36 years. And you think about that, that's how it works. It's the most amazing damn thing. Visual impression is very powerful. And people say, oh, it doesn't matter. Remember the rule, as Azim was saying, everything counts. Everything counts. Everything counts. Everything helps or hurts. Everything moves you toward the sale or moves you away. When you're talking about money, people are very emotional about money, and everything counts. Everything has a positive or negative effect. And you never allow anything to go happen by chance. You look at the products from Apple. The products from Apple are absolutely beautiful. The boxes are beautiful. The packaging is all white. But it's not just white, it's pearl white, which is a very special, elegant, deluxe form of white that is used by rich people. The outside, the chrome, and the pearl that they use on the outside of their computers is beautiful. Do you know what I'm talking about? People hold it. Nobody holds an iPhone with disrespect. They hold it with respect. I mean, like they're holding a baby, their first child. So appearance is really important, and changing the appearance, the visual appearance of your products, services, offices, or people. Let's go through this. How could you improve your appearance, your packaging, your offices, your staff, your sales materials? Here's the basic rule, is that your appearance in every element that customers see must be equal to or better than your best competitors. If it's not, they will eat you alive. If I have a choice between product A and product B, and product A comes in a better package, more attractive, I'll buy product B. I don't know what's in the product. I can't tell you that. I can just say it looks better. And visually, that's very powerful. Quick story, true story. I had a couple who came to my coaching program. Very often, couples that were running businesses would come, and this is over a period of years. And I promised them that they would double their sales, double their income within 12 months with no charge. Anyway, they came up to me at the first session, and they said, we need your advice. We started our business, financial services, wealth planning, and so on, in our home. And we became very successful calling on customers. And so we decided to open an office. And we opened an office, and we advertise, and we have a good reputation. But people come to our office, and they walk in, and 9 out of 10 turn around and walk out. Our closing ratio is only 10%. And we should be much higher when we were just moving out of our house. What can we do? I said, well, let me guess. When you moved from your house to an office, you took your house furniture with you. You took your old desks and your old chairs and your old credenzas and stuff with you. They said, how did you know that? I said, well, you probably wanted to save money. And she looks at him, looks back again. And I said, so when people walk into your offices now, the first thing they hear is the canary singing. And how does the canary sing? What does the canary say? cheap, 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 cheap. That's what canaries say. They walk in, goes cheap, cheap, cheap. You're selling expensive financial services that impact my whole life and family and future, and your place looks like a garbage dump? Cheap, old, dirty furniture from your garage? And I said, you go back. And she said to him, I told you that. She elbowed him so like this. She said, well, I didn't think, why should it make such a big difference? Men are not good at this sort of thing in terms of visual. And so she said, that's exactly right. Our offices look like offices for a gas station, the back of a gas station. I said, go home and spend $5,000, put in beautiful carpets, paint the walls, put in paintings and fresh flowers, pipe in some music, put in new furniture. It's only a small office. See what happens. 90 days later, they came back. And they said, they were just beaming, like newlyweds. They were beaming. They said, you can't believe what happened. We did exactly what you said. Our closing ratio has gone from 1 in 10 to 7 to 8 out of 10. Income has gone up 500%. She said, we'll never be able to take you up on your guarantee. Because we never made so much money in our whole life. We had no idea how important the visual appearance was. And remember, when people look at you, they make a decision. Are you trustworthy? Can I trust you? Can I give you my money? Can I be safe? You know, there's a movie that was made many years ago, and the question the villain asked is it safe? Is it safe? Is it safe? And he was torturing the other, Dustin Hoffman, and kept asking, is it safe? Is it safe? And Dustin Hoffman doesn't know what he's talking about. He said, yes, it's safe. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. In many companies, they look at you or they look at your people and they say, this is not safe. The appearance sucks. And I'm sure that you're nice people and I'm sure your products are good, but I'm out of here. And I'll never be back. I'll never be back. So no second chances after a bad first impression. Are you with me so far? So how could you improve the visual appearance of your products or your services or your offices or your people? Write down the first answers that appear to you, or the first answers that come to you. Okay, next part of the marketing mix is positioning. And positioning is how people talk about you and think about you when you're not there. It's your reputation. And your reputation is the most valuable asset that you have. Your products and services will change. Your locations will change. Your staff will change. But your reputation will remain. General Electric was started by Thomas Alva Edison in 1904. It is still one of the biggest and most respected companies in the world, and still one of the most profitable. Why? It's because their reputation, General Electric products, have always been excellent products. If you buy General Electric products, you never have to worry. We own General Electric washing machines and dryers and refrigerators because they're made by General Electric. If it's a General Electric appliance, then it's good. And we don't even ask, and we pay 50% more because it's got the General Electric name on it. So, how are you talked about or thought about by your customers? And a good question is, do you know? Do you know what they say? Sometimes companies will hire a research organization that will take the name of like 10 companies in your industry. And they'll go to customers who are customers of your industry and they'll say, what words come to mind when you think of this company? What words come to mind when you think of this company, and so on. And then they'll find that the words that come to mind are not what the company had in mind. They say average, lots of products, no good ones. And they'll say things that will be shocking to the company owner. The company owner thought, oh, my customers love me and I love my products. And they find that people are mediocre towards them. The most successful company in department store in the United States is a chain called Nordstrom's. And Nordstrom's was started in Seattle, Washington 50 years ago, and they give the best customer service. Now they did a survey, and they're well known. Everybody who has money, middle class and upper middle class, and upper class, lower upper class, everybody who has money goes to Nordstrom. They have beautiful products, beautiful services, wonderful people, and unconditional guarantees of satisfaction for life on anything that you buy from Nordstrom's. You can go, like my wife will go and she'll buy 3 dresses, expensive dresses, bring them home, try them on with me, and she'll say, which one do I like the best? Well, I like number 2 the best. She'll take the other 2 back. No problem at all. Doesn't bat an eye. So people go to Nordstrom's and they buy with both hands. Well, really interesting story about Nordstrom's. I think I mentioned the story yesterday. Is they're very famous throughout the United States, and they did a survey in Phoenix, Arizona, a city of about 2 million people, and they said, what is the best department store of all? They asked hundreds of customers. And who won? Nordstrom's. Best department store of all. And here's the problem. Nordstrom's did not have a department store in Phoenix. The closest department store was 1 hour flight away. But Nordstrom had developed Nordstrom flights. So what they would do is they had announced that we are flying everybody who wants to for a day of shopping at the Nordstrom's in Anaheim, which is a big, beautiful Nordstrom's. And what they would do is they'd fly in a 767. They'd load it up with potential customers with lots of money. They'd fly them over, bust them over to the store. They'd shop all day long, shop till you drop, and they'd bust them back to the plane and fly them in. Nordstrom's didn't even have a store in Phoenix for the people of Phoenix because of reputation. We always said that Nordstrom's was the best department store of all, just because of reputation. And that store makes money, and it makes millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions. They just built a new main center because one of my friends was the developer in charge that cost $1 billion. It takes out the entirety of downtown Seattle. It's got hundreds of other stores as well as Nordstrom. It was $1 billion development. And why? How could they do that? Because their reputation is so incredible. Now your job is to plan sometime in the future for people to say you're the best company in your industry. Your products are the best products in the industry. And this is an achievable goal. Remember, every company starts off with mediocre or poor products, and then they commit themselves to continuous and never-ending improvement until people start to say, Jesus is a great product. So, what words do you want to own in your customer's mind? BMW has now become one of the most popular cars, past Mercedes-Benz, and they own the words, the ultimate driving machine. In other words, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's a pleasure to drive this incredible car, the ultimate driving machine. If you ask anybody in BMW worldwide, what words do you own in the customer's mind? Ultimate driving machine. And so people who want a nice, stable, staid family car, expensive, buy Mercedes-Benz, buy a Volvo. They buy something safe. But if you want the ultimate driving machine, you buy a BMW. So what words would it be helpful for you to own? Imagine you could own any words at all. You could wave a magic wand and overnight everybody used these words to describe your company. What words would you like them to say? Great products, fabulous people, wonderful service, beautiful layouts, quick responsiveness. I mean, what do you want them to say? And whatever it is, then say, all right, how are we going to get them to say that? What do we have to do every single day with every customer contact to get them to say those words about us? And number 4 is, how can you get your customers to think of you this way? So quickly write down 3 words that you would love your customers to use every time they thought about you or talked about you to others. What are the first 3 words that you could think of? And what we say is that customers are 100% emotional. People do not buy products or services, they buy people, and then they buy the products that those people represent. And this is as true with passenger jets as it is true with food or cosmetics or clothes or cars or anything else. Interestingly enough, they did a survey, a study in the US, and they said, how do people buy cars? And the answer is that a person buying a new car visits 10 different dealerships, selects 3, and then decides to buy from one based on the salesperson. And they buy from the salesperson at that one dealership. So companies spend absolute fortunes, hundreds of millions of dollars advertising, and what it comes down to is the one person that the automobile buyer says, I'm going to buy from that person. That's my person. And we talked about this yesterday in terms of sales. So customers are 100% emotional. How they feel determines their decisions. How you make them feel determines their decisions. And every customer contact must be warm and friendly and positive. Now, there's a great story of a man named Jan Carlson. Jan Carlson was brought in to save Scandinavian Air Services when it was almost bankrupt. And what he did is he looked at the organization chart, which was like a triangle, with the president at the top and all the executives all the way down below. And the customer service representatives who checked in bags and took telephone reservations were at the bottom. He said, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fix this. And he flipped it over. And he said, the customer service representatives are the most important people in this company. The people who talk to our customers and interact personally with our customers are the most important people. And all of us, down to me, serve them. And people were shocked. He made all the executives in the offices who are running around with their big titles go out and check in passengers, check their bags, load their bags onto the carousel, made them go on planes and serve coffee and work up and down the aisles. We want you to see what the most important people in this company, the people who interact with customers, do. Well, it transformed the company. People could not believe their experience. They had no idea what customers dealt with. They had no idea the frustrations they had and so on. And then the next thing they did, same thing they did at Nordstrom's. They said at Nordstrom's, our customer service manual is one paragraph. Use your own good sense to take care of our customers. They did the same thing in Scandinavian Air Services. They said, do whatever it takes to make the customers happy. You don't have to call a supervisor. You don't have to check and you don't have to do this. If you need to switch them. If you need to give them a refund, give them a refund. If you need to get their bags there express, get them express. You don't have to ask anybody. Just make our customers happy. And Jan Carlson is famous for his book, which was called Moments of Truth. And from that day to this, many days, 2-3 decades ago, all big companies think about moments of truth. Every contact with every person in your company is a moment of truth. Now here's the bitch of it. You can build up a fabulous reputation, and then you can have one difficult person in your company who answers the phone or works with customers. And that customer will never come back because you diss them, you disrespect them, you affect their emotions, you make them angry, you make them bristly like a porcupine. They never come back, and not only that, they tell everybody they know not to come back. So we'll talk about this more tomorrow when we talk about having a great customer service experience. But who are the people who deal with your customers, and are they the nicest damn people in your industry? And then what do they look like? When a couple of people came up with this idea for a real estate company that would take all the little real estate companies around America and put them under the same umbrella and give them massive service and massive backup and common training and so on. And they called it, this was back in 1970, they called it Century 21 because they were thinking of the 21st century. And they said, what can we do to make everything in common? So they developed training systems and customer relationship systems developed by experts for all real estate people around the country. They developed a signage, Century 21, and they developed a gold blazer that all men and women who work for the company wore. And I spoke at one of their conventions. 25,000 people, they all wore the gold blazer. And then they had badges and awards for, and what this did, they established a common people orientation, and all people in every branch of Century 21 have the reputation for being some of the nicest and most professional people in residential real estate. They became the biggest residential real estate company in the history of the world, with one idea and one small office in Los Angeles. Why? Because they made the customer care the central part of their business. And you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing. When we go back to a restaurant, we don't go back just because of the food. We go back because they're nice to us. And really good restaurateurs remember our name. And they say, welcome. Henry, welcome. Emmanuel, welcome. And you go back, thank you. And I've got your table ready for you. And they just whisk you in. I mean, you feel like a little bit of a king. So write down, who are the most important people who deal with your customers? That's the question. Who are the most important people who deal head-to-head, ear-to-ear, face-to-face with your customers? And remember, those people have got to be absolutely outstanding. And if they're not, then replace them with someone else. Now, the last part of our marketing discussion is how to double the size of your business. And my friend Jay Abraham, who's a marketing expert, came up with this idea. He calls it the Parthenon principle. And the Parthenon principle is based on the Parthenon. If you can imagine in your mind the Parthenon with all the columns above the city of Athens. I remember my wife and I had the opportunity to stay at a hotel, and the restaurant was called the Parthenon Restaurant, and it was open outdoors. Greece is a very beautiful place. And you go out onto this lovely terrace in the evening, and the weather is very beautiful, and you can sit there and you can see the Parthenon lit up with headlights. It's the most remarkable damn thing. And you sit there and have dinner watching the Parthenon about a kilometer away, all lit up with these beautiful lights. Anyway, the Parthenon principle says that imagine that there's 7 pillars that hold up your business. And each of these pillars is a part of the marketing mix. And every improvement in in any one of these improves your sales and profitability. So what we do is we say that there are 7. And imagine that each of these has a baseline. So for example, you start off today and your area of activity is the product, and your baseline is 1. So in other words, however much you're selling today or the quality of your product or service is 1. So you decide that over the course of a year, you're going to increase the quality of your product, the desirability of it, the attractiveness of it by 10%. So that means at the end of the year, your sales will be 1.1. And then your price, and you decide you're going to make your price 10% more attractive. And you multiply that times 1.1 to get 1.21. This is the power of compounding. It's very important. So, and your promotion. You decide you're going to improve the way that you promote your product, advertise it, sell, sales methodologies, brochures, everything else, by 10%. Now, by the way, it's possible to increase any one of these by 100% or 200% in a year. What we're talking about is just 10%. So the cumulative is that at the end of 1 year, your sales and profits will be at 1.33. And you go through each of them. Your place, you improve the place or location where you offer and deliver your product or service by 10%, and you increase your sales 10% times 1.33 equals, or 1.1 times 1.33 equals 1.46. Packaging times 1.1 is 1.61. Positioning 10% better times 1.1 is 1.76. And if you improve the people and the interactions with your customers by 10%, that's 1.94. So here's the final denouement. Your business performance today is 1. Whatever your level of sales and profitability are today is 1. So if it's $1 million or 10, 1 is your starting point, 1.0. And if you improve in each of these 7 areas by 1.1 within a year, you'll be at 2.0. In other words, you can double your sales and profitability in 12 months just by constantly looking for little ways to improve in each of those 7 areas. And this is one of the great discoveries. The man that discovered this, by the way, I'm combining 2 or 3 concepts. The man who discovered this is the man